Shri Charitra, chapter 25. Pride of the foolish Pandits. This chapter describes how two boastful Brahmins, who, so to say, were trading in the Vedas, were brought by Trivikrama Bharati before Gurunath. This chapter commences the Karma Kanta section of Shri Charitra. Namdharak was rapturously listening to the glorious narration of Guru Leelas being narrated by Siddhamuni, the blessed disciple of Gurunath. Siddhamuni continued his narrative as under. There was a Muslim Nawab ruling Vidur Nagar at that time. He had no respect or tolerance for the Hindu religion. He used to tempt Brahmins to come to his court by offering money and gifts and make them recite the Vedas and explain the meaning. Public recital of the Vedas before anybody and everybody, and especially before the non-believers and who have no reverence, is against the Vedic injunctions. After making them recite and explain, he used to ignore the deeper and more sublime meanings of the words, and drawing perverse and distorted meanings of the Vedic words and hymns, he used to taunt the Brahmins, deride the Hindu religion, and gloat over it. But most of the Brahmins never used to come forward, however much as the Nawab tempted and pressed them. Veda is our mother. It is profound, it is divine. How can any self-respecting person bear the sacred text being taunted by shallow-minded persons? However, there were two Brahmins who came forward to be used as pawns in the hands of the Nawab. No doubt they were very scholarly persons. They knew the Vedas by rote, but had not imbibed even a grain of true wisdom from the Vedic study. The two Brahmin Pandits impressed upon the Nawab that there was none in the land who had knowledge more than them. They said that the Nawab should arrange for a debate in scriptural and Vedic subjects in his court, and that they should be able to defeat anyone and establish the supremacy and superiority of their scholarship and knowledge over all others. But none of the Pandits agreed to come to the Nawab's court for the contest, because the Vedic subjects were sacred and were meant for patana, that is chanting and contemplation, and not for vada, that is acrimonious debates. The Pandits said they would go out into the country and seek out contest in different villages and towns. If anyone ever dared to contest against them, they were confident to defeat him. And in case nobody came forward, that meant an open acknowledgement by all of the two Pandits' supremacy, and therefore the ruler should recognize it and honor them befittingly. The Nawab encouraged them in this, only with the object of enjoying watching the Pandits disputing amongst themselves acrimoniously. The Pandits set out on their challenging campaign, puffed up with pride of the patronage and backing of the Yavan ruler. They came to Kumasi and were told that Trivikrama Bharati was the most scholarly Pandit of the area, and if he was defeated, it would establish their unchallengeability. When the Pandits proposed to Trivikrama Bharati that he should enter into contest against them, the latter declined, saying it did not befit him, a renunciate and sannyasi, to enter into discussions and debates for winning name and fame. The Pandit said if he did not want to contest against them, he should acknowledge them as unchallengeable and should accede Jayapatra to them. Trivikrama Bharati saw their conceit and ambition and thought that they should be taught a befitting lesson. He took them to Shri Narsimha Saraswati at Gangapur. As soon as they entered into the presence of Gurunath, Trivikrama Bharati fell down prostrate at Gurunath's feet, offering his obeisance. The Pandits, however, did not show any respect, and they showed off their pride and arrogance. Shri Narsimha Saraswati inquired as if he was not aware of what had brought them to him. Trivikrama Bharati narrated about the campaign on which the Pandits had set out. The Pandits demanded that Shri Narsimha Saraswati should enter into debate with them or should acknowledge their unchallengeability and give them the Jayapatra. Shri Narsimha Saraswati chided them, saying what benefit would accrue to them by showing off their intellectual scholarship. The knowledge of Vedas and scriptures need to be imbibed and digested into integrated wisdom, into intuitive experience, fructifying in the realization of the self, the spiritual reality. He cited the instances of Ravana, Banasura, etc., who were all well versed and proficient in Vedic lore, but which made them highly conceited and egoistic. And what was the result? It led only to their total ruin and destruction, along with all their clan. The Vedic knowledge is not for earthly conquests and for winning applause from people. The knowledge should be put to use for the conquest of one's senses and ego, and to realize the all-pervading, divine and spiritual reality. All the loving well meant advice of Gurunath fell on deaf ears. It did not change the minds of the Pandits, whose hearts were deeply set on winning worldly acclaim for their scholarship. Thus ends the 25th chapter of Shri Guru Charitra, describing the vain, glorious, and conceited Pandits. Glory to the all merciful, the omnipresent, and the ever responsive Gurunath.